Good morning, Monday. Right, been here about half hour now. My stuff's it out. You can see these microphones have gone on. Just putting them on, taping the corners. Shaky filming. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you this. I wasn't going to take this top one out because really it's doing a job normally of holding the stairs, but there is literally nothing down the back of there. See this here, this stringer here, will be sitting on that normally and then hard packed against this joist. But there is nothing in there. Same that side, pack that side out. I mean, it's not even it's not even parallel. Yeah, so that's been like that all that time, which explains why this stair is constantly cracking and moving. Yeah, see there, and why they're so noisy. So we're going to fix that. That won't translate to, or fix that behind me. That won't translate to sorting the creaking out. But then I'll just go through, do the creaks, and then hopefully do a time lapse. Just like that pop then. Just do a time lapse of me cladding the stairs. Right then, let's get on with it. Every stair. Every stair I've got to do that. So basically, some clown has come along here. I didn't know what that was, but it's basically, it's white silicone that's got dirty over the years, hiding these massive gaps. Now, I can't actually get to the stairs underneath, although I might have to at a later stage. So what I've done for now is I've replaced the packing bits that come with the stair clad with redwood. They're not straight either. The actual treads are actually bending. So I've sort of polyurethane glued, pre-screwed and pre-drilled and screwed each one, packed at level. And then the bottom ones, I'm reconnecting this to this again. Just to stop the noise. It's one of those where the reality is the more screws you put in it, you could possibly be making more noises further down the line. So I'm trying to use 3 screws to each one. And just a shed load of glue really. They're not noisy. The ones that are further up aren't noisy as I'm going on them. Well, I'll update in a little bit, but that's taking forever to do that. Right, I didn't film any of that because it just took too long for each plank, so it wouldn't have worked for a time lapse. But I'll just show you the scribing. So basically, each cut is sort of splaying out, so it means you can't slide it in because it's bigger at the back. Same with the risers, they're splaying down and across. It's very hard to get that exactly in the right place before you've cut it too short or you can't get it in. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'll just nip to the garage and grab the board and show you exactly how I scribe those in. You get a piece of board that's roughly the same size. The only rule is it has to be straight and parallel. Then you either offer that up to the back or to the front, and parallel it to the front, and then you write left on one side, right on the other, and you scribe it in. You can use a bevel or just use your pencil or compass and a pencil. Cut that one right. Before you go and cut the other one, you actually scribe this one in, cut this one right. And then you've got your right angle and your left angle. Then all you need to do is work out exactly how far they are apart. So you can, once it's cut, you can use the same template. You slide that in that end, and you just either have like a mark at like an arbitrary measurement, or you mark the end, and then you slide it over and you mark from that end to where you've just marked. And then you go back to the saw and you add those two together. And when you've added those two together, you've got your plank. But it's obviously only as good as you cut and you mark, so you will have to probably cut that 2 or 3 times, which is why I didn't time lapse it. But the good news is there's no noises on the stairs. So all that gluing and screwing has worked. Yeah. Right then. Tuesday morning. Terrible. I've got the lights for that They turned up last night, so I'm going to probably fit those. I'm having a bit of a bad morning. I've got to fit these utility because it still hasn't been done, because there's just differences of or lack of communication, etc. But anyway, not to do with the customer. The customer's good. I mean, I feel sorry for the customer, to be honest with you. Anyway, now that's going to happen. I'm going to do that in a minute. I've just noticed an absolute... So I've come in. I was going to crack on with the stairs, but the lights turned up last night. So I'm going to do the lights first, but I've just noticed something on these stairs. Basically, last night I went to go see Stuart Lee last night. So I was sort of trying to finish up at a good time, and although I've staggered the planks, although I've like mixed the planks up randomly for some reason, because they've been out in the workshop and restacked. The last three are just a completely different colour, and it looks terrible. And you can't see that from the bottom. You can see it from the top. You can't see it from the bottom. When I'm fitting, and when I'm fitting sort of down here. 30. Cannot actually believe how long it's taken me to do that. But anyway, I'll show you. This is what I was talking about the other week in the week's one video. It's just too tight, really, but that's what they want. I can't actually even get that back any further because of the pipe work down the back, which I've said about. I honestly just think it's got lost in translation and nobody's listening to me. I mean, I put the picture up there before Christmas. This is it. I can't even get a batten down the side of the wall. I could put one of these in, rip one down a bit more, but I just think you'll struggle to get it in. So as long as the template people are happy with 3 angle brackets on there, I could always go buy a piece of angle and put that on, but for now it's taken long enough just to like basically make sure it goes in and out by yourself, because otherwise, yeah, you're screwed really if something goes wrong. Anyway, we got these lights, see how they go. So I thought I'd just jump on and show you the lights I use. I use them from New Style Lights. You can get them from anywhere, I guess, really. But I just said, those guys, they seem to always reply to my messages. And because I'm not an electrician, just having that little bit of help on Instagram, just giving them a quick message is just so beneficial. So basically, these are the, they're an LED rope, like you know, that everyone has now, but they're in this like neon tube. It's a 6mm wide, and what I do is I do a rebate at 6mm to that clip in normal wardrobes, kitchens, that, you know, warrant that sort of thing. But on this job here, I've done the rebate into the top of the plasterwork. So if I show you, so when it's all done, the idea is you've got like a floating canopy. With that nice effect. Sort of noticed as well that people that done the worktops basically decided to take all the plinths off and not put them back, which is a minor thing. But they also, when they cut this out, they didn't chop out for the oven, so they put it on. So I've just had to cut all that out now for the oven, for the hob, while it was in situ. Which is not ideal. Cutting out a cabinet for a hole in the worktop would probably cost more than my week's work, but done it anyway. Despite the fact they said they were going to do it. Incidentally, quick tip: stepping stones, carpet tiles, just for getting to places. See you in a bit. Wednesday morning, I am. Just spent about half hour. I had to go get some materials. This has all gone off nicely. Absolutely solid. Then I've got to remove this. Obviously, remove this. This is no good. We've rebuilt this. That's the one thing we've completely started again with. And I'm going to. I've just set up. Got all my stuff set up. Got my work area outside. Set the best table saw there. Got to clear this bench. I threw a load of stuff on it last night. Got another bench over there that I drag out for when I'm jigsawing. just a bit of a state, stuff in the van. But I'm doing one thing today, and that's sorting this bottom bit out, getting these mules and that done. So I'll whack you on a time lapse for that, and I should have a good day doing it, really. Right then, see you in a bit. That's it, all done. Not too bad. And tomorrow I'll do this. Get these stop chamfers in here, and get the mule caps on. That'll work, that. It'll look good. And I'm going to bring in the understair storage as well. Get that done. So we'll go just obviously under the stairs. Don't know why I need to point that out. Morning. Thursday? Yes, Thursday. It is Thursday. Right. Can't believe I'm still on these stairs, but basically showed you this last night. This is it this morning. So I've got to put a white panel on there, infill those spindles. But I've got to put another lick of paint on some of those spindles because some of them didn't get a full coating, unfortunately. So I'm going to do that now, put a quick coat on them, then put them inside to dry. I've pre-painted a bit for there, put that on. I've got to go around, sandal these, put the stop chamfer on these, put the mule caps on, clean out any glue, got a tiny bit of glue, spill it seepage on some. What else have we got job wise? Got to fit under here, a little button in there for the waste disposal thing. Plumber don't want to do that. Get on with the understair storage, which at the moment, that's the understair storage. It's rubbish in there. So, I'm going to jump on with it and update you in a little bit. Days like this, you need a list. You need a list so that you are doing things in the right order. So like the paint to dry, I've got to sand the mules, I've got to do the routing before I fit the spindles because otherwise the router won't fit in for the stop chamfer. So you really do want to have a list on the go. I'm going to remember it all, hopefully. Right, let's jump on with it. Right, just thought I'd show you this button. It was actually a bit more of a pain than I thought. I was just going to drill a hole and fit it, but it actually needed rebating. These are the sort of jobs that just you think it's going to take 5 seconds. I've got a 30mm drill bit, drill a hole, but then and it'll be done. But the only problem is if you don't rebate it, when you shut the door would have sat forwards, and actually every time you shut the door, it would have turned on the it would have turned the waste disposal on. So I've had to rebate it, and there's nothing I can do about the fact that once I rebate a piece of chipboard, melamine, you're going to see the edge. So I've had to silicone that in. I mean, it's not the tidiest, but I mean, it is inside the cupboard. So on the whole, it looks good and it works. It's one of those, isn't it? How long do you spend on it? It took me about 20 minutes as it was, probably half hour. Anyway, I'm just about to do the spindles, and I thought I'd show you how exactly I do the spindle, or you know how you're supposed to do the spindles if anyone's interested. So basically you've got a gap here. It's a small section so it's easy to explain. Although actually the smaller sections are harder to get right because you've got less chance to correct it if you go a mil out or 2 mil out. But basically, a gap from newel post to newel post is 784 millimeters. And you have to sort of visualize that every time you do a staircase, you'll have one more spacing than you will have spindles because you'll have a space at either end. And the maximum space is 100 mil. So the first thing we do is we take 784 and we minus 100 mil. That then gives us how many spindles we're going to put in. But to work that out, we need to know the size of the spindle plus the gap, which we're just going to say is 100 mil for now. So what you do is you do 784 minus your 100. That gives you 684. Then you need to divide that by one spindle and one gap, which is 142 mil in this case, because the spindles actually measure 42 rather than 41. So 684 divided by 142 gives you 4.81, but you can't have 0.8 of a spindle in, so we make that 5. Then we take that 5 again and we times that by the 142, because that is how many gaps and spindles. That gives you take the 5 and we times it by the spindles, which gives us 210. So we know that if we add 5 spindles up together, the total measurement is 210 mil. So you then need to take out that 210 mil. So you take out but you take that from the 784, which is the overall width. So you take your 784 minus your 210, then gives you 574. So essentially what we're saying is from newel post to newel post, take out 5 spindles, because we now know that it's 5 spindles. We could have guessed it was 5 because it's a small amount. If it's a big amount, you can't guess. But basically 784, 784, take away your 5 spindles, 210 mil, gives you then a measurement of 574. Okay, now that 574, you then need to take that number and divide it by the amount of spacings. Well, we know we've got 5 spindles, so that means we've got 6 spacings. So we take 574 and we divide that by 6, and we've got 95.6. And that's obviously under 100 mil because we rounded up the amount of spindles, which means that we're then making the spacing less. So what I do now is I probably give myself a head start. I'll cut half the amount of spacings. So in this case, 3 times 2, 6 spacings at 95.6. I'll do half of it, and then I'll do a physical measurement again from here to where my last spindle finishes, just to make sure that it does add up to what I've calculated, because sometimes you can have a little bit of a gap, glue gap, or just, the spindles could actually be 41.4 mil or something. It should actually be 41, so they probably are a little bit under. It's just the cumulative error of all of that can sometimes bite you in the arse if you're doing a large amount of spindles. Another top tip, always mark the top. Well, it depends how you're going to cut them. If you look, you've got a chamfer, so you want all the chamfers to be in line. So you either cut an equal amount off the bottom and the top, or in this case, because the general rule of thumb, like if you look at that door there, the rail at the bottom is bigger than the rail at the top. It's just a general rule of thumb. The bottom's always bigger, big bottoms. So it's to do with perspective, I think. How you look at things, you're always further away from the bottom, unless you're a midget or a short person, whatever. But anyway, so I always cut the top on something like this, and I'll always mark the top, just so I know when I'm putting it in, I'm looking down, I see a pencil mark, I know the spindle's the right way around. I always do some tape pre-ready, because I'll actually just hold the infill spaces up with tape. So I'm all ready. I've glued up some. You got 5 minutes before that starts tacking. Glued a little bit in there, and then I will pin the spindles because they're painted. If they're oak, don't always pin them. But you can wax them in. I'll sometimes just put a bit of polyurethane glue in because that'll expand and catch them. You can always fire a pin in later if there's a bit of a rattle. But yeah, just cut it tight and glue it in. Okay, so I just brought in the boxes. I didn't actually do it, although I showed you in week 1's video when I actually supplied the quote and the drawing to the customer. I didn't actually in this case do a full-on drawing for making them. I did a quick CAD for me, just cutting the sides, if you like. So I've just brought them in, and this is them in position. So actually we've got down the bottom, a gap is basically 2 of my draw runners and a piece of 19mm veneer board to hang the draw runner off. So I've basically equally spaced those out, just to mount the floor with a bit of masking tape. Now I've just gone along with the laser level and just hit this point on each one, and then measured that to the underside of the stairs. We've not leveled them, so there's, you know, if I'm within 10 mil at this point, I know my drawings right, and I am. I'm actually about 10 to 12 mil, but I know the floors were really far out. So that's them. Really, we know they fit, we know they work. They're a bit tight, unfortunately, to one of the valves at the back. I don't know what's happened there, but it's possible that because I was going to go onto the front of this, I might have allowed to come forward a bit more. I mean, it fits, it's tight. I don't like it being that tight for airflow. It's only one valve, but I can't, unfortunately, this here, there's only about 9 mil there on that overhang, because this bloody string is not in the middle of that newel, which I can't do anything about. You know, I'm sort of set now. I've had to, as it is, I've had to sort of just make the handrail touch the stairs. I've actually had to move the handrail slightly offset, not a lot. Anyway, these are these spindles in. So what I was saying was, what you want to do, in this case I cut 3 spacers at 90, whatever it was, 96, I can't remember now, but I cut them. And when I got to this one, I then basically measured from here, because it's the middle one, I measured from here to the middle, and from here to the middle, made sure it was the same before I carried on. Which it was. Right, well, within a mil anyway, but she's close enough. So yeah, and the good thing is they're all actually, every spindle actually worked out between 94 and 96 mil, so they're all really equally spaced. Yeah, looks nice. Just protecting that bottom step for now, because it's only had 2 coats of oil. I've got some hardbacks I want to put on, but I just trying to find the time in between the kids being here and me actually creating dust myself, so I might be able to just jump on that first thing in the morning. I'm going to start getting these in now, see how far I get with these. Morning, Friday. Yeah, so I got those in yesterday, but I didn't film it. There they are, that's showing all the runners. The only problem is a couple of the drawers, like the mechanisms snapped. I've emailed the company last night, but it's snapped already. Like, I think one of them was snapped in the packet. The other one, it wouldn't shut. And then as I was shutting it, there was like a noise, almost like something was stuck. So I pulled it open, there was a bit missing. So I think the other one maybe, unless I did it when I installed it, but I don't think so. One's fine, which is this one. You push it and then it opens. Obviously we're going to cut the painted panel to go on that today. I don't normally mess around with these face fix runners. But it's under stair storage, so it's not like it's a dovetail kitchen drawer. Yeah, so I'm just going to spend half an hour on that now. Well, I'm going to prep the step for oiling. See if I can get the colour a bit darker. Prep the step for oiling. Half an hour on that. Right up. Lights. Half an hour on that. Just see where I am with it. Then I need to make a call, because I don't know whether the plumber is coming in or not. But basically, I want to try and get this washing machine back. So I sort of advised, I said, look, that part works quite ugly. And it needs to be in the cupboard anyway. So at some point it's got to be moved. So get the plumber and see how far you can get that washing machine back. Because otherwise they're going to make me bring all the worktop and that forward, which will cost a lot more money. You might not need it. And then also in here, thought I could do running water then. No, and in here, it's still not bloody done, because I'm still waiting for the tops for that to be done, to be delivered. But basically, I'm going to have to put an access panel in for that tap, so that we can access it once it's done. So I'm going to do that as well. Okay then, so this is just rough for now. This is just showing you how I'm going to mark the actual angle. So there isn't really a rule as such how to do this. You just come up with your own system as you go, depending on the situation. In this situation, see, sometimes you'll put a trim over here, which acts as the door shut line. But because this string was in such bad condition, and just because everything else is going to be new, I'm actually going to overboard that with some 9mm. So these doors are going to sink in there a little bit more, So this now is my parallel point, basically from there and there downwards. So I've cut a board that is just a little bit bigger than the stringer, which I shall now put on there. Slide up to the carrier rail. Always put an arrow on anything like this, just so you get it the right way each time you're using it. Although this one's the only really one way I can get this one, I guess. And then I'm just going to go along, and I'm just going to draw my new line to the door. And it's really important, like I say, that you actually pay particular attention from door to door. And each door has been levelled perfectly with the exact right gap. Now, if I take these outside and cut them, and route a little edge on them, they'll be then 100% perfect. And I've actually taped to the floor as well, where I'm packing them out. Just stored in the shelves one last time, some Howback soil. So I'm gonna put shoes on them. I just noticed this. See that there? Little B on the shelf. Little work the letter B. Is that shelf upside down? Does that mean B for bottom? They're the sort of things you get when you get something, you know, handmade. When people say, is it like to have something truly bespoke and handmade? You get those sort of things, those little anomalies. Anomalies. They're the sort of things you get anyway. Still haven't said the word right. Okay, end of the day, end of the week, actually. And yeah, stairs are complete. Happy with them. Finally there. Just show you these. That's what you're going to see when you come in the front door. I've pre-sprayed everything. However, I was not down for decoration. I've just done that just so the painter, whoever they get to paint them, hasn't got a cut in all round here. So he possibly has only really got to do the newels actually in the risers, even though they have been sprayed. That's the ball nose step detail. Just looks so much nicer. And then obviously we've got this understairs storage here. So I don't know why I had the camera the wrong way. But yeah, the only thing I've not done on this is sprayed these front panels. And that's purely because I've got another little project to do, which I'll show you now. And I've also, we were going to just put a trim on here, but looking at all of it now, this doesn't look very good anyway. It's had too many coats of paint on it. So I'll cut an actual piece going from here to here, which will just cloak all of that. And it will just make it look a lot nicer. It's quite minimalistic as it is, quite chunky. There's a bit of tradition there, but on the whole, minimalist sort of approach. So just do one big trim on that. Now, the reason I've not offered to spray that, well, I'm not going to spray them yet, but we'll offer to spray them, is because in here is the next project. I'll just hold this. This is what the builders had from day one, so he knew where to leave the coving short, etc. Well, not just so, you know, just so he didn't waste time putting coving up. So that is going to go there. And actually what it's going to be is it's going to be all Venetian plaster along the bottom and the upright, then with painted white surround the TV and floating shelves. And I'm going to start on that on Monday, I think. But because I'm going to do the shelves, like floating shelves, I shall perhaps offer to build those in such a way with the folding mitres again and spray those. So at the same time, I can offer him a cost to spray these. Or I might outsource it, I don't know yet. I've got quite a lot of work on, to be honest with you, so it may pay me to outsource it. But yeah, this project, if I just start you from the door now, yeah, it's really taken shape now, especially with that in, you know, and then we've done the kitchen's done, subject to the electrician fitting these two things. He's supposed to be here now, but it's Friday afternoon, I can't see it. However, I shouldn't be negative, but yeah, kitchen looks good, looks really good. Just show you that. Yeah. Really does. Yeah, you can see actually what I didn't show you on the original video when I've done this kitchen was actually these cupboards here. I had to cut these into the stairs. So I actually had to buy some more white melamine and remake these cupboards for the ovens. You know, look at that. The clearance on that is minimal, really. We had to drop the plinth to get those in. But lovely job, really nice job. So yeah, once I do the media wall, we're there, we're done. Right, have a good weekend. See you later. Might as well be my thumbnail. If that's going to be, is that going to work as a thumbnail? LED lights. Kitchen brick slips. I might use it as a thumbnail.